Each one of us is here because of a vision. Each one of you came into this life expression because of a vision. Now, if you were born anywhere around the time that I was, you were told it was called a twinkle in your daddy's eye. It was a vision. Let me just be really clear. We came here because of a vision. We came here into this place, this building, because of a vision. We came into this place of being a part of these United States, and today being the 4th of July, because of a vision of our forefathers. And what we know is that when the vision first taps us, when we first have an idea about what's coming forth, we don't see the end-all, do-all, be-all. We only see the first pieces. We only see the first steps. So look around here. I want you to take time this week and vision on what you want to see this community and our weekly gatherings to look like. And put every bit of energy and creativity you can into it, and let the voice speak to you. Because we're just beginning right here, right now. And we are moving forward. Ernest Holmes had a vision. Our forefathers had a vision. I encourage you to step into that idea of vision, not only for your life, but for all of us. What do you want? Live music up here on stage?
Yes. Yes.
All of the sound stuff working the way we want it to? The room filled with so many people we can barely get them all in here? Maybe not even in this space, maybe in a different place. What is it? Care for the kids, youth services. The vision has brought us here, and we can only expand. And so our talk today is that we are pulled by vision. We are pulled by vision. And so the only question I even have for any of us is, are you willing to continue this journey? And are you ready to step in and create what you desire? Because it isn't up to just one of us. It is up to all of us. Michael Beckwith says we are pushed by pain until we are pulled by vision. Last month I talked about being pushed by pain. Pain is that wonderful entity that comes into our lives and will not shut up until we give it the attention it's demanding. And sometimes that takes a lot of effort and energy and multiple doctors and persistence and changing the diet and changing the consciousness. It can include anything. But that pain comes to us for a reason. It is speaking to us. And when we have the vision, we are then pulled into it. It's like a magnet. It's drawing us in because what it sparks in us is a passion to make it happen just the way we want it to be. Just the way Spirit is showing us it can be. Pulled by vision. When we reflect on the writings, the talks, and the radio program of Dr. Ernest Holmes during the Korean War, we see that he encouraged us to know the content of the foundational documents and principles of the United States. We are spiritual citizens. Holmes is calling us forth, has called us forth. Spirit is calling us forth to stand for this country, for this nation and all people. And as we look at the global communities today, all of the Centers for Spiritual Living, it is reasonable to conclude that he would encourage people of all nations to know and understand their respective governments. This meant so much to me in working on this talk this week because I spent a whole lot of years pretending I didn't know. And pretending I didn't need to know, and not wanting to know. And this past year I woke up and it's been crazy, and I know more than I ever thought I would. But here we are. Here we are. So we want to use those science of mind principles that we're taught about, and we want to practice every day and identify our roles and responsibilities as spiritual citizens. The American flag. A few of you are wearing replicas or simulations of this. It is a symbol. I want to talk about it for just a minute. Because what I think we fail to see sometimes is that we fail to see that we move into this place where we think that everybody sees it just like me. Heaven help you if you see things just like me. We're all different. We all have had different experiences. So when we look at the American flag and we think of today and the 4th of July and the symbology there, each one of us has a different idea. And this came to me so clearly. A few weeks ago, I attended a workshop at Unity on the Avenue with Rick Finbow and Dr. David Goldberg. Cool. And the workshop was about creating our own oracle cards, which was really fun. And it also had a whole component in about listening. And the piece about listening was learning how to listen to one another when we're not saying what we think we want them to say. Let me say that again better. I have an expectation of what you're about to say, and when you're not saying that, I have a problem. And that happens for a lot of us. So how about if we learn how to listen in that space of allowing? And so we did this little exercise, and I was so excited because I love all this group interaction stuff, and we were told to go around the room and talk about one thing. And then we were told to talk about the flag. And I thought, why are we talking about the flag? But here's what opened up for me. The first woman talked about how she felt as a kid in school when they stood and did the Pledge of Allegiance and spoke the Pledge of Allegiance and looked at the flag. The next woman talked about what each component of the flag means. The colors of the stripes, the spacing, the dark blue behind the stars, the number of stars. The next individual was not from the United States. And because of her upbringing and her culture, the symbol of the flag to her created some anger, a little bit of hostility, and she shared that with the group. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my goodness. And then the next person spoke. And she is a woman who comes from the ancestry of Native American and African American. And let me tell you, her idea of what the American flag stands for is nowhere close to what I thought it was or what it meant to me. But I listened. I listened as tears came to her eyes and as tears came to my eyes, because you can hold this flag up and talk about freedom and equal rights for everyone, and if you don't treat everyone that way, it's meaningless in some circles. And when we finally got through the group and it was my turn, what I remembered the most was the day of my dad's celebration service, celebration of life, when the honor guard was there. And they folded up this flag and handed it to me. And for me in that moment, that flag meant more to me than it ever had in my entire life, because it was a connection to my dad and all the years that he served in the armed forces. So what I want you to keep in mind is that we can look at this and we can all see it differently, and that is okay. That is absolutely okay. Ernest Holmes says this: in our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, so absolute the domain of law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. The misuse of the power. Visionaries came before us. Václav Havel, Nelson Mandela, ancient wisdom, new thought, hundreds of thousands came before us. with a vision. And the seed that was planted was one for equality, justice, equity, respect, human rights. And we're not there yet. I think we're getting closer. I think we're making progress. No, I don't think it. I believe it. I see it. But we're not there yet. Malcolm X said this: when I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. How profound is that? That is so beautiful. Because you see this power that we have, that we talk about, and that we shove down one another's throats sometimes, this power is unity. We are one. We are one. One human kind. And in our New Thought and Ancient Wisdom principles, we believe in and we affirm these, not only of the individual expression, but of the collective. We may show up as part of the LGBTQ community, the trans or the bi community. We may have different we may have different religious beliefs, but we may have different political beliefs. And how dare I think that you can only speak yours in a certain way or a certain manner, when indeed it makes more sense to allow you to speak and to hear what you have to say, because, oh my gosh, I might learn something. I believe it is time to stop making others wrong. Franklin Roosevelt said this: we are trying to construct a more inclusive society. We are going to make a country in which no one is left out. No one is left out. Franklin Roosevelt said that, I don't know how many years ago that was. It was a long time ago, because the dude's not with us any longer, so I know that. And we still have work to do. We still have much to do. And you know how I know this? Because I reflect on myself. I reflect on me and my life, and I'm a mess sometimes. I got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. I talked about, in one of my talks last month, about just showing up in love. Just showing up in love and not expecting you to be a certain way. What would happen if I just showed up in love and let you be you? You do you and I'll do me. Well, it makes my life a lot simpler. And then another component showed up in my life, and that was the piece that said, I need to make sure, absolutely, that I don't speak about someone who isn't present. We have a really great word for this. It's called gossip. And here's what we've done with this idea. We have decided that if I'm saying something really nice about Cody and Cody's not there, it's okay. And it's not. Because here's the definition. The definition of gossip is casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people. Let me simplify that. Casual conversation about other people. It doesn't say if you're in a good mood or if you're praising them, or it doesn't say any of that. Because have you ever had someone come to you and you start to tell them your good news and they go, yeah, I heard about that. Oh yeah, I know, I don't need to hear that again. And you're kind of deflated. And what does gossip do? It separates us. It diminishes our connection. It destroys our community and our family. And so this has been really big for me, and I have noticed, and I'm even asking people that I'm very close to, that if I say someone else's name in conversation, to stop me and say, did you mean to mention that name? Now, I don't need you to orchestrate this for me because I'm an adult and I'm perfectly capable. But it's important, and it's important to me. Because the very act of talking out of line will break us as a community. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we're in kind of a fragile place right now. We've been locked up, if you will, for 15, 16, 17, I don't know, however many, a long time. Some of us haven't even seen each other face to face till today. There's a fragility about that. There's this, we're very vulnerable. I said something the other day about how we need to start having classes about how to come out of a pandemic, because I'm saying stuff every now and then and I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't be saying out loud in public. But it's been so long. We have to recondition and realign with all of these things. I encourage us all to take a stand for inclusivity, acceptance, respect, allowing, embracing, and honoring. I have 3 points. The first one is stand in unity. Hit it again. The second one, embrace all paths. And the third, celebrate diversity. And I'm just going to use these to make a few points as I wrap this up. Stand in unity. I'm not against anything when I stand for something. When I stand in unity, I stand in that place of accepting everybody in the same context as myself. And do I go into self-beat-up sometimes? Sure. But I don't need to criticize others, and I don't need to take that out to the external part of life. So let's look at this and practice this every single day. There was a young woman outside of a fast food restaurant, and she had 3 small children with her. She was incredibly frazzled. The kids were acting out. And a gentleman walked over and he squatted down in front of the little boy, who was possibly the middle child. And he said to him, "How's your day going?" And the little boy did what little boys often do, and he ran and hid behind his mom. But his older sister, who was approximately 5 years old, knew that this was her opportunity to help this man understand what's going on with their family. And so she stepped forward and she said, "Well, we're having a rough day. And it's nobody's fault, and it's certainly not my dad's fault." And the guy's going, "Okay." And she said, "We ran out of gas. And because we ran out of gas, we had to walk. And then we had to spend money that was supposed to be our money for lunch. And now we're hungry and we don't have money for lunch, but we got gas in the car. And it's not anybody's fault. But Dad was supposed to put the gas in the car." Oh. And the man just listened and nodded. And he looked at the mom and he said, "I can help you. And before you say anything, I want you to know I expect nothing in return." And he went inside and he got them all food. And he made sure they were fed, and he made sure she understood that he wasn't looking for payback. And after a short time and a little bit of refreshment, the mom looked at him and she said, "Why? Why did you stop to help us? Why did you decide that this was yours to do?" And her blue eyes filled with tears. And the Asian man said, "We are all one family. Your children are my children. And as long as I show up like that every day, I'm living from that place of supporting all people." That's why. We can do this. We can do this. We can stand in unity. Secondly, embrace all paths. This quote is from Tom Robbins, and it says, "Our similarities bring us to a common ground. Our similarities bring us to a common ground. Our differences allow us to be fascinated by each other." This week, I encourage you to find moments of fascination. When your partner or spouse says something to you that is so harebrained you can't understand what is going on, I want you to take a deep breath and go, "Well, no, this is different. Where can we go with this?" This creates that place for us to live in the world of curiosity and love and acceptance. I took a sales class many, many years ago, and we were taught how to work a room. And the idea was you come into a room, like whether it's a business gathering or social or whatever, and you look around the room and you look for people like you. Yes, I was taught this many years ago. And you approach those guys because you're already going to have a little bit of comfort in that space. You're already going to have a little bit of ability to connect with them because you've already seen something in them like you. And I'm here to tell you that that instructor was incorrect. And what I do and have done in the past however many years is I walk into a room and I look for the most bizarre, crazy looking person I can find. And not necessarily in that context, but someone who doesn't quite look like me. Someone who doesn't have skin the color of my skin. Someone who looks like they've had a different life experience than me. Someone that I can learn to love. That's how we embrace all paths. And then we do that by just holding that amazing container during the conversation and letting them speak and listening. And I don't have to convince you in that context to see it my way. Somehow, some way, we got that whole philosophy kind of misconstrued as we were growing up. Our parents did this wonderful thing called comparison. We still do it today. Well, I need to look more like that. Well, I need to act more like that. Well, I need to be more like this. I'm grateful for COVID. And I'm grateful for it because it gave us an opportunity to shut down and go to the silence and let our roots grow out. And what's amazing is now some of us are showing up in a real concept, in a real context of who we are. Some of us are a little larger. I'm sorry, happens. Some of us are a little leaner. All of us are a little older. And all of us are wiser. And we've had these wonderful and amazing experiences that we can share with each other, that we can use to support the process going forward, that connection. Audre Lorde says this: "It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize and accept and celebrate those differences." It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate. Let's celebrate diversity. Let's be thankful, grateful that everybody comes to the table with something else, something different, something unique. When we live in the existence of the infinite and we acknowledge our interconnectedness, our oneness, we realize our social and moral responsibility. That's that moment when we go, oh wait, I know what I could do. I know what's mine to do. I know why I'm here. I know what my purpose is. I know something about this because I'm not all in my head judging everything that's going on. It is vitally important to provide a safe space for the peaceful expression of experience of every member and group of society. It is vitally important for us as a spiritual community to provide a safe space for all people to come together. If you come in next week with a clown suit on, we will embrace you. Or else, no, and laugh. It's okay. Let's do that. Let's celebrate our uniqueness, our diversity, our quirkiness. My grandson, Eric, was with me a week or so ago, and we went shopping for his birthday, and he wanted a hat. And it was kind of like an Indiana Jones safari hat. What do you call it? An Aussie hat. And the whole time we were shopping, and the whole time we were talking about it, he kept saying that they're going to not let me wear this. I'm afraid I won't be able to wear this. I'm afraid I'm a little too quirky. And he's quirky. And I kept saying to him, we're going to get you this hat, and you get to wear this hat wherever you want to wear it. And if anybody says anything, you get to tell them to call your grandma. And he kept looking at me, and it was really interesting. By the end of the day, he said to me, "Thank you for buying me this hat and for telling me it's okay. Because there's some voice out there that's been telling him it's not." I found this quote from Reverend Kathleen Sibley. And it says, "I am actively creating the life that works for me, knowing that this moves everyone closer to the world that works for everyone. As long as you do you and I do me, this is what we're creating. This is what we're creating. And a world that works for everyone is a vision for each of us. So today, as you leave here and you move into that place of celebration of the 4th of July and dancing around because we're free, and whatever that means to you, whatever that expression is for you, remember, we are responsible for creating the world that works for everyone, where all people can show up in their true, free expression." Please pray with me. And so what we know right here and right now is we know that we have the right to be free as children of God, as spiritual citizens. And knowing this, we affirm right here and right now that God is the center, the core of all of this. That Spirit is the divine energy in all things. And that through this divine energy, we move into that place of lovingness and kindness and goodness and self-expression and authentic expression. And we hold the vision right here and right now for a world, a complete, entire world that works for all people, where all are included, all are accepted, all are recognized as one. Because that power, that presence, that truth that we know as God lives within each of us. So no matter what is happening in our world today, we can breathe that in. And we can know and recognize that God is with us. And we are never alone. We are always accompanied by Spirit. And as we turn our attention to this, we open our eyes and our mind to the very idea of the vision for what's next. What's next? What's next for me? What's next for each of us? What's next for the community of New Dawn? What's next for the United States? What's next for the planet? And we don't have to force anything into that idea. Just live in the question and allow the ideas to come forth. And so what I know right here and right now is that all are blessed, all are perfect, and all is good. I give thanks for all of this. I give thanks for each and every person who chose to come here this afternoon and be a part of this time. It has filled my heart and soul to see these beautiful, amazing faces. May we cherish one another, may we acknowledge one another, and may we acknowledge the very Spirit within. So I know it's good and perfect, and I turn this over to the law of mind where it is already complete. We let it go, we let it be, and together we say, and so it is.